super excited to be sitting down with you, Mo.
Great.
I've been chasing you around town, rescheduling, and I think it just makes it more fun to finally be sitting down.
More satisfying now,
More satisfying,
right?
man. I love the chase. So kicking things off here, man, just tell us who you are and then kind of how you got here.
Yeah.
Like as much as early as you want to start, you could start at birth if you want. I'd maybe prefer not birth, but just like maybe where you started your career and then like tell us what you're doing now.
Yeah. My name is Mohit Gupta. I'm currently at Abercrombie Fitch, treasurer and head of investor relations. I've got kind of a journeyed past in the world of finance and accounting. I went to Ohio State, graduated many, many years ago. And with a degree in accounting and real estate finance, but then started in the public accounting world and really learned a lot about businesses and how companies operate there. It's just a great learning ground for me, and it kind of allowed me to move from sort of the accounting and audit world into investment management and what people maybe commonly refer to as like the buy side of investing. And eventually moving back from Chicago, where I was at, to here, being able to deploy a lot of those skills, learning about just applied finance, corporate finance, and other principles at Abercrombie Fitch. A couple tours of duty there, 2013 to 2020, and then took a little bit of a break, went to the startup world, went to Root Insurance.
Did you?
Was there for a little over 3 years.
Did you make a little bag over there?
I don't know about a bag, but I definitely had a lot of fun. It was a really great experience to learn, go from an established business like Abercrombie to something that's a little more unwritten, right? The story was just unfolding. And
were you there for the exit?
There for the IPO, which was pretty fun.
Okay.
Yeah, it was really fun. Great opportunity. Part of what attracted me to it. And then came back to Abercrombie in 23 and I've been there since.
I love it, man.
Yeah.
So for people that are starting out their career, they're probably watching this thinking like, how the hell did this dude get to this, like, perceived high position, right? Mm-hmm. So how does one do that? Like, was there a few things that you think that you've done in your career that made it happen? Or was it like a lot of different stuff? Maybe some luck, maybe some skill.
For me, I'm a big fan of like the ideas, concepts of like range or like, wisdom of crowds. Like being able to get a lot of varied experience has, I think, benefited my career a lot. Going from a large organization to a small one, kind of going from having, a niche of understanding or a niche of responsibility to something with a much wider aperture, and having that happen over 3 or 4 different career points has been super helpful for me. And it's really nice, like, to balance the idea of being like technically good at something, like getting into the weeds, really understanding it, or then maybe zooming out and becoming a team player and somebody that's like part of a much larger story. I've really found have shaped my career and just kind of shaped the things that I feel like I'm good at. And that can kind of transcend just like very specific things. Like in finance, kind of people just think, all right, I'm in spreadsheets, I like add up numbers and I do this and that. And I find that my job is like less and less about spreadsheets, frankly, and more about what is the problem that we're seeing and how can we solve it? And I call on that experience that I've had across my career to be able to deal with those all the time.
So I interviewed at Abercrombie Fitch.
Nice.
I'm not working there. Maybe what was this? This was 10, 15 years ago.
Okay.
Out of school. And I didn't get the job. I don't think I was good looking enough. But how does one, so Abercrombie has a very unique culture. How does one navigate a culture like Abercrombie to like get to a role that you're in and influence the organization? Yeah,
I mean, what makes the modern Abercrombie, I would say, culturally unique is the, legitimate meritocracy that we all live on at the company. And I think, people say things, hey, my organization's flat, or we don't really like believe in titles. This company really does live it. And as having gone from different organizations and actually being an investor, seeing a variety of different companies over my time, I can tell you how unique it is. What I love about it is, obviously sometimes it's hard to get in, but once you're in the organization, it's really about what you can produce and how you can bring people together. If you're able to, kind of check your ego at the door, be able to sort of navigate, a bunch of different issues while doing it together and bringing people into the room. There's really no limit, frankly, on how much responsibility you can get and where you can go in the org.
So you said head of investor relations, and what was the other?
Treasurer. Yep.
Okay, so head of investor relations. What does that mean? Like, because you guys are a public company, you guys are crushing it. So I keep on hearing about Abercrombie in the news and like in the retail space of like you guys are doing all this good stuff and like your stock is going up. Mm-hmm. Other companies are struggling. So what when you say head of investor relations, are you like meeting with investors? Are you trying to raise money? Like, what is that?
Yeah, like in a private company context, investor relations can be much more transactionally timed, and more worried about like how the capital fundraising environment looks and how you're able to execute that and then build relationships with companies, kind of building your cap table out, right? I think that's kind of what an investor relations function is at a private company. In a public company, it's very similar, but the tools are different. The ways in which you communicate with investors are different. You're still trying to do this game of like comparing, quantitative data with a narrative to be able to inform investors of what's going on in your business, what are the tailwinds, where are the opportunities, so that they can better understand. But there's no obvious transaction that's like on the table that's expected to happen in the next 1 month or 6 months where you're being ready. So you're really about in a cycle of quarterly updates, being able to provide investors a glimpse into what's happening in the business, some forward, expectations. We just wrapped actually our fourth quarter earnings release last week. So now I'm on the phone, right? And I'm getting in front of investors over the next several weeks just to give them a sense of where our business is, what are the factors that we're dealing with here in fiscal 2026, and where are the opportunities for the business so that they can be best informed on whether to buy or, find the opportunity that's right for them.
Love it. So you guys are crushing right now. Are you the main reason why Abercrombie & Fitch is crushing right now?
I wish. I have 0% responsibility for the business's outcomes. I do get a chance to talk about them a lot, so I get to take credit. But I don't. But I think it's really, you have better part of 3,000 people that are working really hard every day on this campus, and another 20,000+
totally
in our stores, and they are the ones that are really building the business every day, executing at a high level. And I think it's just great to be a part of it and being able to show the world everything they're accomplishing.
Yeah, I feel like retail is one of those spaces where when you get to a big level, like you can either crush or you can sink, and it's very public and known. Like, I don't want to call any specific brands out, but there's ones out there that are struggling and like trying to have to like re-strategize because their strategy didn't work.
Sure.
What are a few of the main things that you think you guys have done? Because the brand has changed a lot. Like, it's not the Abercrombie I used to shop at.
Yeah.
What are the few things that you guys chose to do strategically that allowed you to take the company back and be in a great position?
Yeah, I mean, around 10 years ago, we got a new CEO. Her name's Fran Horowitz. She was, I think, instrumental in our company stepping into a modern retail framework that's centered around the customer. I mean, honestly, everything that we do as a company is centered on defining who our customer is and knowing them intensely. We have 2 brands today, Abercrombie brands and Hollister brands, and they both concentrate on a customer segment that's very different. Teen retail in Hollister, so we know that teen super well. We spend a lot of time with them. We understand all the things that are affecting their lives, and we build an assortment and an apparel sort of like collection that's around those opportunities and themes. Likewise, with Abercrombie, part of the turn of the company was refocusing that business from a sort of a competing with ourselves framework where Hollister and Abercrombie are doing the same things, to really separating and actually aligning the Abercrombie business toward a 20-something kind of young millennial. And that really turned the business in a totally different direction. And Fran really allowed us culturally to set up all the pillars so that everyone felt comfortable working in the area that they're focused on. And that really drove a ton of spark with the consumer.
Would you consider Abercrombie 10 years ago, or like when I was in high school, I'm 33, to now, would you consider it a full rebrand? Or did you guys like pivot kind of, but not all the way?
I think what you're looking at now is a full rebrand. I think along the way, there had to be choices made and sort of, like you said, kind of like tilting. You can't turn the ship, 180 degrees overnight. It's impossible to do that. It's hard for the customer too, by the way, because you're totally like, they walk in one day, they're like, what just happened here, right? So instead, I think we started with individual categories and products, and Fran kind of paired, I think, a strong operational sensibility with merchandising. And because it only, if you know what the customer is going to buy, but you can't get it for them, it doesn't really work at scale. And so being able to start with a category or a product, we actually started on the denim side for Abercrombie. We came out with a product called Curve Love, which helped accentuate basically the company's diverse sizing, to be able to welcome a much larger percentage of the population. And we really struck it with social, and we're able to expand on that. But if we didn't have all of the great sourcing and merchandising techniques, that would have been like kind of it, right? So we started adding more categories as we went, built this whole system out. And now today the company is super agile, is able to support quickly changing themes and tastes of our customers, while also, bringing all the marketing and, Fran talks about it as product, voice, and experience, and having those three components all well aligned. That's what's allowed us to succeed.
I love it. So you're hanging out with Fran. I assume you guys like to go get beers and coffees and all this cool stuff, right? And then you've got other great leaders in the organization.
For sure.
I assume that you're a great leader. Tell us, what are some of these themes that these great leaders have?
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, a lot of it has to do with collaboration at the end of the day. I mean, that's really the biggest component of this. As you look at our CFO, our COO, our heads of supply chain, all the people that are executing every day on a multi-billion-dollar global business, what's awesome about them is that they're totally approachable. You're able to ask them questions, and they walk into a room and it's not like, whoa, like it's more like, oh, hey, they're here now. Let's figure out what the opportunity is and go execute. I think that is definitely something that I picked up on early in my career at A&F. And it's something that I think we definitely owe our success to. I mean,
sure.
Everyone in a leadership role is absolutely approachable and is clearly in it with all of us.
Sure. You mentioned earlier in this conversation, checking your ego at the door. And that's something that in Vessel, we have this,
For sure.
a little about me. So I started a hotel brand that I took nationwide out of my basement. We weren't crazy huge. I left at the $50 million raise point, sold to our largest investor. And then I was like, what do I want to do with my life? And I've always loved throwing parties. So I started doing that.
Nice.
And I, naturally met these Vessel guys that kept on coming to my events. Eventually got to the point where we were stepping on each other's toes. And I was like, hey, we should probably figure something out. Maybe you guys acquire me, something. And so they ended up doing that 6 months ago. And I'm obsessed with the culture because it's so low ego and so high performance.
Yeah.
And these guys are obsessed with strategy and obsessed with being good people for the community. So on that point of ego, like, can you tell us about like the inner works of the cultures? Like, why does it work? Why is it important not to have an ego?
Yeah, I think, well, to me, the first thing is, at a scaled organization, when you're trying to solve huge problems, you always have to have a bunch of people involved, right? And if it was always linear, if it was always like the sort of pyramid always worked like this and it was always just top down, I think the message can get lost. And I think people can feel like they're not engaged or not accountable, frankly, for things. And so I think that's why if, as a leader in our organization, if you come in and, you're able to show the opportunity, show what's going on, but then listen and hear what other ideas come out about solutions and how we're able to get to problem solving, that's the only real way to be effective, I think. And it has proven itself time and again, like the best ideas around how to get this business to the next place aren't coming just from this office up here. It's all the way down the organization. And we owe a lot of our success as a team to how some of those things germinated at varying levels or varying places across the organization and then spread laterally up, down, wherever. I mean, 100%. that's the thing. And so, yeah, I mean, knowing the guys at Vessel, I can totally understand that. I mean, I think that's a very common leadership trait, I think. And it's something that, our company definitely preaches, I think.
100%.
Yeah.
So for the younger folks that are in finance and they're wanting to get better at their careers or like make moves, all these different things, what advice do you have for them? What do you want to see more from them?
Yeah, I mean, it's great. This is a crazy time to be thinking about, embarking on a career, just given the dramatic pace of technological change that's happening in our world. I think one of the things that I said that I benefited from my career is varied experience, right? Always raising my hand and saying, hey, this crazy thing's happening. Like, who can help us with it? Like, sure, I'll do it. Like, awesome. And I think even in a modern context, that is the only way to get it going. I would say that it's even more so incumbent upon the incoming generation of professionals is to know the tools and learn the tools quickly. AI is absolutely 100% a game changer. I've seen it work even at a $5 billion company like A&F to really transform the way new entrants to our company can be productive. And I do feel like, having the thirst to have varied experience and the willingness to kind of jump in to, connect distant dots and kind of work, that way, while also applying new tools and ways of applying that knowledge in a different problem solving context is massive. Mm-hmm. And it's something that I think we're just getting started on. So anybody entering today, show me how to solve the next problem, because maybe I don't know.
Yeah. So one common theme that I see in these conversations is there's this point in your career where it's like you want to say yes to everything, or you want to say yes to a lot, and then as you get more responsibility, you want to go on the defense as opposed to more of the offense of like protecting your time, figuring out where the focus is going to be. Mm-hmm. How did you navigate that in your career?
I haven't reached that. I don't think I've reached that point yet. So maybe I'm not far enough along. But I mean, for me, it's still very much I'm a wide berth kind of guy. Like, I would love to be able to have, more. I think to me, it's back this idea of distant dots, right? It's like, if you're only thinking about this little component of your world and how you can do this one thing better, you miss out on the connectivity between that role and that function and something else. Mm-hmm. And so as a team, like, I'll give you the treasury example, is just like, if we wanted to think about how to manage our cash differently, and we didn't think about how our cash gets generated and how we go, sell clothes, acquire apparel, and put that into our different distribution channels, and potentially, establish new channels of sales, et cetera. If we didn't consider any of that in our way of, determining our goals, then we probably wouldn't have very good goals, right? Mm-hmm. And so that to me is the example of like, you gotta probably widen the aperture, and that's the only way to really, maybe at some point, tilt back inward and say, hey, the best opportunities are for us to just focus within our team. But we've been able to add a ton of value just by reaching across the aisle and saying, all right, well, for us to get better at cash flow, I really have to talk to you, merchant, about how you run your business, right?
Totally.
And that's it.
100%. Last few questions here. So, and they happen to be my favorite. What is the biggest moment you've celebrated in your career?
Oh, man. I would say the biggest moment in my career has probably got to be really more on my time in the buy side. Like, I had some really fun moments at Abercrombie and even at Root. Obviously, being part of an IPO is always a really unique experience, something that I'll never forget. But part of me is like, working with public companies is like learning the way an investment thesis works, doing the fundamental research, and feeling right is like an incredibly interesting moment. So I won't share the name, but there was a really large gaming company that I did a lot of research on in my early in my investment career, and that business, ultimately did not do so great. And we did a lot of fundamental research. I personally did to get better understanding of that business's addressable market and where things were going, and kind of went against the grain a little bit, and it worked out really well. And it was a really rewarding experience to be able to the work is what's rewarding, right? Is creating a thesis, validating that through true bottom up effort, it taught me so much. And those moments are what I then apply in the A&F context, in the root context. And it's kind of the same thing. It's a scientific method, right? It's like, think about what the opportunity is, go do the work and validate that opportunity every day, right? Like, ask the questions, do the analysis, find those ways that it can work, and then you'll get rewarded, just like that moment I had, 15 years ago every time. And
what'd you do to celebrate?
I think I got sushi. I'm pretty sure. I wasn't making a lot of money back then, but it was nice. It was a really...
What kind of sushi?
It was a place called Japanese in Chicago, very, very many years ago.
A little spicy tuna, a little California. What are we talking?
More of a blend. It was like a French-Japanese thing. It was really great.
I love it.
I'll definitely never forget it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it felt good that day.
What advice would you give yourself 20 years ago today?
Oh, man. I honestly would love to do more of what I've done. Like, I wish I would have had even more varied experience. And I mean, I think a lot of what you guys are doing at Split, like, I think is super helpful, is broadening the network. Particularly when you're working and you have a job you love, it's hard to pick that up and say, all right, I'm going to put that down for a minute and go meet some other people and find, other opportunities. And sometimes you go to these events or network with people and there's not a clear, use case, right? There's not a clear, like, oh, I know how to connect this, but over a longer period of time, those things all become apparent. And so it's just so cool to think about, like, I've always been trying to meet people, where I can, outside of my daily work environment. I've had a lot of ways through work to do that, but if I would have done it more, I think it would have been awesome to see, like, how big the network could have gotten.
It really is crazy seeing some of these little junior folks coming in here that are like 19, 20, 21 and sitting down with these like massive CEOs of companies that have no idea like how rich the opportunity is. Cause like, dude, when I was in college or whatever at their age, I was just like drinking too many beers at OU with like other idiots.
Yeah. I mean, I had my fair share of beers at, Ohio State on 15th before it became what it is now. But what I think the interesting thing is even those moments, like those social moments, are great, and finding ways to multiply them, basically, right? By like joining more clubs. Like in undergrad, if I would have done more clubs, more opportunities to meet people, I think would have been great. And I going to Chicago, going to a big city, that was definitely helpful. I mean, I still have daily contact with friends that I made being out there, but always could have done more, man. And it's just so fun to see how it all 20 years later, right? You're like, wow, I like still see these people. I talk to them. I get a ton of business ideas from them. I think about like where I want to take my career with them. Multiply that by whatever.
100%. Last question. What are you most excited about for what's on your mind right now in business? What are you most excited about?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really most excited about, look, there's always change in retail. I think that is something that is just ingrained in the industry. Our customer changes and evolves, and we have to stay close to it. There's a lot of geopolitical stuff going on today, right? We have just a lot of news. But what's interesting is the consumer tastes and preferences are evolving really kind of irrespective of that. And I just love the fact that, our team can still go out there and find new customers, find new opportunities, find new channels of distribution and stuff. There's so many new ways to do retail for us. And so I don't know, we're just getting started. So it's kind of fun to be on the precipice of that, I
love it. Love hearing a multi-billion-dollar company saying that they're just getting started.
Totally.
Mo, I appreciate you, brother.
Pleasure, man. Yeah. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having us.
All right.